It's not often that someone writes a biography about a cartoonist, but you've written one about your late friend Bill Leak. Talk to us about your book, Die Laughing.
Oh, well, that's a good question. Thank you. Bill was a friend of mine for 23 years, probably one of the best friends I've ever had. He was Bill had many gifts, but one of his best gifts was for friendship. He really, really valued friendship, and he kind of taught his friends how to be a good mate. Like he was always there. I went through a few ups and downs during the 23 years that we knew each other, as everyone does, and his ability, his enthusiasm to support his friends through hard times was just incredible. And in researching the book, I met several people who he reached out to that he didn't need to, but just through sheer friendship. So it's a tribute to a great friend for a start. But one of the things that I wanted it to be was, Bill absolutely loved Australia. Of all the Australians I've known, I don't think I've known anyone who loved Australia more than Bill did. And I saw his passing as kind of emblematic of the way Australia is changing, that the Australia that Bill loved doesn't really exist much anymore. Not much of it does. We've certainly, Bill was a first-class larrikin, and we've seen in the past 18 months that larrikinism in Australia is pretty much dead and buried. The police in Victoria are making sure that anyone with a bit of larrikin spirit in them is going to get beaten up and wound up in jail and fined. So I wanted to use all great biographies, I should add, are sort of microcosms of the times in which the person lived. And that's what I wanted it to do. I wanted it to be a microcosm of Australia from the 60s through to the early 21st century. And I do think I've managed to accomplish it, without sort of, blowing my own trumpet too much. I spent 3 years writing it, and I lived through that era myself, and I think I've captured it reasonably well. But the other thing is that Bill wasn't just a cartoonist, and he wasn't just a cartoonist who got in trouble with the Human Rights Commission towards the end of his career. He was an extraordinary artist, and not a postmodern one either. He was a realist artist. He learned art at the Julian Ashton Art School, which is where you learn observation and draftsmanship. So it's, he was old school. When he did a portrait of someone, he was an exceptional portraitist. When he did a portrait of someone, it was almost always a realist portrayal of them. But because he had such deep insight, was able to understand people so well because he was so fascinated by people, he could bring out their character. He could capture their character in their portrait, which is what he did. And so, there's all these aspects to Bill's personality and life. He was a first-class raconteur. He was an absolute hilarious bloke to be around. He had, candidly, he had enormous trouble with women. He was quite a pants man at one stage, but, it's always a bit of a blind alley, that one. And he was an alcoholic. So, his life was a gift for a biographer. I got a lot of satisfaction from writing it and squeezing it into 80,000 words because there was a lot going on. I hope it will one day be considered a fairly accurate representation of the period of Australia in which Bill lived, because it was a time when Australia was a very happy and funny place to live.
I completed my undergrad in creative arts last year. I've got a keen interest in both storytelling and politics. What lessons could artists take away from Bill Leak?
Oh, that's a very good question. That's a very, very good question. And the answer in one word, in 3 words, is to seek the truth, because that's what Bill did. And the truth is Bill's initial pursuit of the truth was through art. He was, like I said earlier, he attended Julian Ashton Art School. He was obsessed with art. He saw an exhibition of European masters at the Art Gallery of New South Wales when he was about 18, I think it was, and saw for the first time a Picasso painting up close. And it changed his life. And he then went to Europe. He spent 4 years there, met a German woman, got married, had his first child, set up a studio in a town in southern Germany, had a few exhibitions, went to all the great art galleries. And his constant pursuit in that time was to pursue the truth. Now, one of the things about his pursuit of it was that he didn't see himself as a chosen conduit for the truth. He always knew, although he wasn't religious, he was brought up religious, but he became an atheist quite soon, quite early in life. He understood that even as an atheist, he understood that the truth was bigger than us, that, the Judeo-Christian concept that God is something that we can't understand, but our duty in life is to try, and that's what Bill did. And when he transferred to cartooning, that pursuit didn't change. He pursued the truth in political terms, and when he saw the truth, he didn't back away from it. So that would be my advice to anyone embarking on a creative career, and I would recommend it highly because it's the ultimate, if you ask me, and that is pursue the truth, but don't think you are chosen to be its conduit, and don't think that you will necessarily find it. It's the pursuit of it that I think is the purpose of life.